Hello, welcome back. Tailoring Tales, part 5, I think. It's a grey January day, a little bit depressing. I'm surrounded by alterations, some menswear, which I haven't done, which I'll do for another film shortly, some womenswear fixing from a recent wardrobe review, and then also in the other room I've got quite a lot of ladies' wear from a couple of appointments which I had before December. It feels really appropriate in January to kind of be talking about fixes and repairs because it's the perfect time to book in for these wardrobe reviews and edits and outfit building sessions, which a lot of clients do at this time of year. Stock is thin on the ground in the stores. It's because it's at this general time of year that the kind of sales are quite thin and we're waiting for the kind of influx of the new product to arrive, which is great because it's new styles, but more importantly it's about availability and access to certain things, which is why I often hold back on the shops January and then wait really until February. So it's during this month that I see more clients at their houses for these wardrobe sessions. There's lots of things that we do in these sessions. I really enjoy going through somebody's wardrobe and re-inspiring new outfits. And also, as you know, tailoring, fixing, tweaks, alterations, it's a perfect time to do that as well. Over the last couple of months, I think we've all found ourselves, which we just do kind of through the kind of seasons, we exhaust certain outfits. So you're kind of looking to feel re-inspired with what you've got in your wardrobe because that same outfit which you've been kind of putting on, you know, for the last couple of months, a couple of times a week, just now feels a little bit kind of boring and you're looking to find something new. So it's going into the wardrobe and seeing what you've got and just kind of playing a bit of a dress up really, and building those new outfits for the new year. Along the way, you might kind of notice a couple of gaps here and there, and then that can become a really focused shopping session where we go out kind of saying we need 3 things. We need this new blazer, a trouser to kind of fill those gaps there, and then maybe it's a couple of accessories just to really inspire a couple of new outfits as well. So it can be really focused off the back of it. Another thing that I do during these sessions is to pull out items that maybe haven't seen the light of day. They've kind of sat back in the wardrobe for the last kind of 9 to 12 months. And then you pull those out and we might need to look at the fit of them. We might need to look at the style of them. We might just need to have a general conversation about them. There's this great coat here, which I'm going to talk to you about, which was in perfect condition, had not really been worn, but every time my client put it on, she just didn't feel that super special in it, and she couldn't quite put her finger on why that was, because it is a great coat and it's amazing quality and it's really, really classic and very chic, but there was something just not quite right about it. And it's during these sessions that I can have a look at it and we can kind of discuss what the possibilities are. You know, with this particular coat, we didn't need to buy a new black winter coat. We just needed to kind of tweak it and fix it ever so slightly to get it so it really looked and felt perfect. So, with no further ado. So, this is a coat from Club Monaco. It's quite a classic shape with this beautiful kind of wrapped shawl collar and an asymmetric closure across the body. It's in a really beautiful felted black wool, which has just got a really great weight to it. It really holds its shape beautifully. And it's generally just a really great city work coat for this time of year. You've got the collar, which has got the height around the neck for warmth, but then you've got these really kind of subtle but really great quality details of these leather cuffs here. And then as you can see as well, leather that just drops down the kind of button placket of the front of the coat as well. Now, like I said, we pulled this out of the wardrobe and I immediately just thought, okay, great, tick, we've got a coat. This is not something that we need to kind of put onto the shopping list. But then when we put it on, we just had this conversation about what wasn't quite right about it and where it didn't feel quite right and what we could possibly do with it. Now, generally, the fit of it was actually really good. It fitted really well across the shoulders and it had like a really lovely kind of drop silhouette through the back. So it wasn't so much to do with the fit, it was more to do with the proportion and the detail that we just needed to tweak. You hear me talk about sleeve lengths all the time, so I'm not going to kind of go on too much about it. But as you know, sleeve lengths to me are so important. If sleeve's too long, the whole coat feels too big, and if they're too short, it looks like everything is too small. It's just this like slight illusion that you have with it. So getting the sleeves so they are the perfect length is really key. Not only does it kind of clean up the look of the coat, because you've just got a very kind of smart straight line through the sleeve to the cuff, but proportionally it just makes everything look a lot better. With these, we've got this deep leather cuff here, which we wanted to keep. We didn't want to kind of shorten that at all. So we had to bring the sleeves up slightly. We took the sleeve off to do this, to keep this detail, and brought them up. So that was the first thing that we identified needed to happen. And just immediately putting those pins in, when I was in her wardrobe and seeing it on with that difference, it immediately looked so much better. The other thing, and very small tweak we did, was I just took in the centre back seam, just so that rather than it feeling like it kind of trapezed and dropped from the shoulder to the hem of the coat, it just sat into the waistline ever so subtly, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a silhouette and shape through the waist, which just made a little bit of a difference, but really did feel really great on the clients. The big tweak that we did was to do with the collar. Now, we trimmed the collar down quite considerably because it was too big, it was too high. The client wasn't wearing it buttoned up because it was almost like shielding her face. It just looked ridiculous. And because it's a black coat, it just felt way too dramatic, kind of pulled up that way. So I knew that we had to tweak the collar quite a lot and kind of pull it down to make it less overwhelming and dominating in the actual jacket itself. I got the client to button it up in a way that she felt comfortable, and by doing that I realised there's 1, 2, 3 buttons here, but then there's another 1, 2, 3 buttonholes that go down here. And when the client had it on, it was this buttonhole here, which is just kind of where I'm holding, was the last one that she buttoned up. These she didn't button up. And I'm not surprised really. You're not going to button a coat up right down to the knee, especially when there's no vent in the back, because it's going to be quite constricting to walk in. But because they weren't buttoned up, you then had these 1, 2, 3 buttons like kind of coming off at a diagonal on the other side of the jacket here, which just looked odd. It looked a bit messy, and sometimes just some things like that just kind of suggest that the coat doesn't fit properly, or an item doesn't fit properly because you're not buttoning it up. So the first thing we did was just get rid of those buttons. So this line across the front of the coat just looked so much cleaner and chicer, and then that diagonal felt a lot more dramatic and intentional. The next thing we did was look at the kind of height of the collar. The back was okay, so this height here was all right. It was a bit too long, but it was through the front that it was too much. So we almost, slithered off. So I think it was about 1.5 inches at the back we took, but then proportionally it went round and it was just over 2 inches at the front that we got rid of. And by doing that, we also lost a button here as well. So there was an additional buttonhole that sat, which would have buttoned up like that, but we didn't need it. And again, this just looks better as well, a lot cleaner rather than an unused buttonhole. So by doing that, when the coat is closed and buttoned up, it kind of shields the face but doesn't cover the face, which just feels a lot more kind of comfortable and realistic to kind of how you're going to wear the coat on a grim day like today. But also, if you do want to kind of fold the coat down and see a bit of this collar, you're not going to see an unused buttonhole. You've just got a lovely kind of slither of the leather which just drops over the front of the coat that way. So overall, generally, it looks a lot tidier, cleaner, more understated, more chic, and a lot more intentional as well, rather than a buttonhole you're not using, a random button here that's not going to get fixed, and buttons down the front of the jacket there that aren't being used, which suggests the coat doesn't fit properly. But then also just a few kind of tweaks to get it so that it fits perfectly. So overall, I don't know, maybe £100 worth of alterations. Some of you are asking about how much these things cost. I would say for something like that, it's probably just shy of £100 to get it done. But what you've got is a coat that fits perfectly, you look great in, you feel really confident in, and that's getting worn. And then you're not buying a new one, and then having two coats in your wardrobe. So it is worth kind of looking at these kind of pieces in your wardrobe and imagining what the possibilities are before you just kind of disregard one and go and pick up another one. I'll see you soon.